Everyone wants to live an inspired life, yet so many people search for happiness following the footsteps of peers and taking advice from people who have different values and outcomes to which they're searching. There are people born into wealth, graduated from the best universities in the world, and there are people who have none of that and yet are living extraordinary lives full of fulfillment and reward. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and strategies that allow you to question the status quo and think freely, so you can design your life and be who you want to be. We get one life. Time is our most valuable asset. I believe that when we're free and able to focus on meaningful work, we become better human beings. This is Always Free, and I'm your host, Jason Greystone.
Welcome to the leading podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jason on social media and subscribe to the Jason Greystone YouTube channel for weekly videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to the weekly newsletter to receive frequent educational content and action steps to help you design your life so you can be who you want to be. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongreystone.com.
Well, welcome back to the podcast, guys. Hopefully you've had a good week so far. I was a bit under the weather last week. I couldn't record. I had man flu and I had a bit of a bad throat. So I was doing a big talk at the weekend. I thought I'd save my voice for that, and I just about got through that. But appreciate you coming back. Hopefully you enjoy the podcast. If it's the first time you're listening, welcome. This is the number one podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. If you don't believe me, go back to episode 1 and start there. Start at episode 1, come back, and when you get back to this episode, then you can come and message me and say, you're right, it is number one podcast for financial education and wealth creation. This week, I want to talk about loaning money, okay? We're getting up to that time of year where we're coming up to Christmas. And it's very often that people kind of start asking to borrow money. And I know it's a very taboo topic. This whole podcast is about the truth about money and wealth creation and financial empowerment. And loaning money is one of the subjects, actually one of the topics that makes it into my top 10 rules for managing your money. So I want to talk about something here. And every week on social channels, I get asked by someone if I can lend them money, or if I can, if I can help them out and give them some money for something. And I've been asked to borrow money by other people who I know as well before. So I want to talk to two people here, okay? One, the person who's been asked to borrow money, okay? And the second person is the person thinking of asking to borrow some money from someone, all right? So look, if you're looking to borrow money, my first piece of advice is don't ask the people who look like they have a lot of money, because they probably haven't. They usually value spending money so much that they're up to their eyeballs in debt. And the reason that they're spending so much on kind of lavish stuff is because they've got a pressured job or an income source that absolutely sucks the life out of them. And what I've found is the majority of the people who really value money, most people who really value money don't spend much of it on lavish luxuries. They've got a bigger mission, and that bigger mission allows them to keep focused on their goals and their vocation, and they don't need to buy trinkets. All right, but the people that do, usually the majority of them, from what I've found, the ones that are out there being very, very lavish are the ones that are trying some kind of escapism from their life. So they're buying things to make themselves feel better for a very short period of time, and in doing so they're raising their lifestyle to the degree that they can't keep up with. So usually they don't have a lot of money to give. My second piece of advice is, if you do think that you know someone who is really financially sound and has a prosperous lifestyle, got lots of time on their hands, and they're very kind of flowy and fluid in their life, don't go to them either, right? Don't go to them either, because the really, truly wealthy people are going to be the least likely people to give you money, all right? And the reason they're wealthy in the first place is because, they truly value the tool of money and building it and putting it to use so that they've got that lifestyle and level of freedom, and they've worked extremely hard to learn how to manage the money and put it to work. So what they don't do is they don't put their money into lower ordered systems, more chaotic systems. All right. Now, a lot of people won't like that. A lot of people think that's greedy, and they might have this opinion that someone who works hard and decides not to give away their prosperity is greedy, but welcome to the entire game. That is the entire game. That's the truth. And not many people are probably going to tell you about that, but the reason that the true wealthy people are truly wealthy is because they've put their money into higher ordered, not lower ordered systems. Higher ordered systems, less chaos. They understand that if you're going to them for a loan, you've probably already tried the bank, or you've not tried the bank because you even think it's not worth it, or the bank said no, all right? But the bank's where you get the money from. If you want a loan, you go to the bank. And if they've said no, then the same assessment and filtration process, should I give them a loan, should I not give them a loan, that applies for the wealthy investor, and they're not going to give it to you either. Not only that, the wealthy people who you're asking for money probably have staff and teams, and they understand very well the dynamics of fair exchange. When they part with cash, they expect a job to be done in fair exchange and a service to be done. That is fair exchange. And that can be scaled, and it's sustainable. It's sustainability. And of course, if they're wealthy, then their ability to receive and keep money is also probably pretty high. As I've said before, your net worth is directly correlated to your self-worth. So the people who you see have a big net worth, usually they've got a pretty high self-worth too most of the time. And they probably don't have too much guilt going on in their life. You know, they're probably not compensating for guilt and parting with money and kind of altruistically trying to give their cash away. Instead, they've got this belief that they deserve to be wealthy, and they deliver lots of value to the world in fair exchange for that. And they know that if you manage your money, you get more money to manage. It's a simple law of economics and service and humanity. So look, there's many, many reasons I could give you for not asking wealthy people for money, but look, you're better off not asking. If you want a loan, don't ask the wealthy people. Instead, your target, right, you would want to go for people who who are in a job and don't have a big value on money or financial wealth building, and they just got into a new level of income. You want to go for those people, the people that have got new money, or they're in a job and getting paid a lot and they don't really know how to build wealth. Ideally, the person who's got some guilt going on, right, from the past. And when you tell them your story and your sob story, and they feel sorry for you, and then they'll kind of altruistically want to give and help and support you and put their money into lower ordered systems. That's where you get it. That's where you're going to get your money from if you want to loan money, not from the people who have mastered their money. And if you're on the other side of the equation and people want to get money from you, my advice is don't lend it to them, okay? Don't loan money. It's one of the most craziest, foolish things that you could possibly do with your money. That's how you lose friendships, it's how you lose relationships, it's how you lose family members, and it's how you lose your cash. Never loan money unless you want to deteriorate your wealth and your relationships. Giving someone money who's not trying to help themselves is not helping them. It's making the matter worse, and it will perpetuate until you do lose them or lose the relationship that you had with them. If they can't get it from a bank, they shouldn't be getting it from you. And as I said, I know this is going to push a lot of buttons. This is one of those kind of subjects that won't be popular for a lot of people, and they'll think it's greedy. The truth is, it doesn't matter if it's not popular. It's the truth. And this podcast is always about the truth. So that's my thoughts on lending money. Now, if you're looking to give someone money, that's a different story. So I've mentioned that I have a give account, and I would treat it, I would only give money to people after it's been managed. So I have a give account which is dedicated to giving to charities, to whatever I feel like giving to. Okay, we give a lot to charity in our business. We give a lot to, I do a lot to charity. I raise a lot of money for charity. I raised over 100 grand for charity in the last 10 years. And I have a personal give account, which is essentially 1% of every piece of my income that goes into that account that I can give. Now, because it's been managed first and it's allocated to that account, I can decide to give that money to someone, and I will give that to a family member or give that to someone without any expectation of it being returned, okay? And everyone has to know that that is the case. Never be, if you're going to give it to them, give it to them. Don't lend it to them. As I said in my last podcast, right, never rob people from dignity, credibility, accountability, and responsibility. Don't give for nothing. Employ them if you need to. If they want the money, send them to work, give them a job, to do, make sure that there's fair exchange. And that way, it's sustainable and you're both getting a good deal. They build their worth. They feel that they're on the same level as you because, they're not in your debt. And they become more empowered. They're empowered. They don't feel like they owe you. They don't live in your debt. They don't live in your shadow. They don't feel like they've got to avoid you in the future because they can't pay you back. And if you're giving them money, I suggest you lay that law down too. This is what I'm giving you. I don't want to see it back. This is a one-off. Do what you need with it. Maybe try and educate them a little bit on how to manage it and what to do next so they don't do it again. But say, this could be the last time. I can't promise I can do this again. Here's the money. I don't want it back. Don't ever feel like you've got to give it back to me. Because look, the ironic thing about this is that the people that are always asking to borrow money are the ones who always seem to ask to borrow money. And they're the ones that label people who have their money game together as greedy. And they disassociate with the importance of money and don't accept that money is the most important tool on earth. And by doing so, it makes it very, very hard for them to make any. So it's very very ironic. It's very catch-22. So look, anyway, the reason I wanted to do this podcast, the reason I do what I do every day is because these are such important messages. This sort of thing is tearing families apart. It's decaying cultures. It's deteriorating relationships. 1 in 3 marriages end due to financial strain. 1 in 100 people on earth every single year attempt suicide due to financial problems each and every year. Now, the best way to get out of it is understand what it is and what it's for and how you can use it for the better way of life. If you're looking to borrow money, the best remedy is to learn how to pay your way out of those financial predicaments with service. You'll learn more about yourself, you'll build your skills, you'll build more wealth, you'll change the course of the rest of your life, you'll start to appreciate money and you'll value keeping it and you'll understand the law of fair exchange. That's what's going to help people, that's what's going to help the world. So that's the message for this podcast. If you got value from this, please share it around. If you know someone who's always trying to lend money, please share them this. If someone is always being asked for money, please share this with them as well. And until next week, guys, when we're going to be talking about trading, for you trading enthusiasts out there, have a great rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you then.
For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongreystone.com.